So we will go forward with a 4-person board. On a 5-person board, in order for a petition to pass, you need 4 affirmative votes. So if there's 1 negative vote, it would still pass. On a 4-person board, you need all 4 affirmative votes for something to pass. So I have just notified the attorneys that they should talk with their client to see whether they want to go forward, or do you want to postpone until the January meeting. So that's your decision whether you want to go forward or not. But if you do, it requires all 4 affirmative votes. Everybody good with that? Everybody understand it? Thank you.
We have the neighbors that are here opposed to the attorneys. We have no say in anything. It's up to them.
No, it's up to you. I mean, if you're going to represent yourself.
Yeah, the whole neighborhood is here to represent ourselves, yes.
Okay, if you want to go forward with the case, we will go forward with the case like we normally would.
Okay.
I just want you to understand that at the end, when we take our vote, you need all 4 votes. Yeah. So some people don't want to take the chance of losing a vote, so they postpone.
Okay, so when you said the attorneys are discussing with their clients and what to do later, they can postpone it automatically, and we just have to read it?
Yes. So if the petitioner is here with the attorney, and you are the neighbors, if they decide they want to postpone, the case will not be heard tonight. That's how it works. So it's up to them whether they want to go forward. Yeah. So it's one of those things that's beyond our control.
No, I understand.
We have an alternate. If we had enough leeway, we could have brought the alternate in.
But I understand. The other side is like, we got everybody together. We've got some people that are not here because they're sick now. So next time, what people might be sick. Those people might not be sick. I mean,
Yeah, well, it's beyond our control. It's strictly up to the petitioner. Yep. Here's the fire chief. We got a 4-person board.
Speak of my son, I would call it jamming.
What? Oh, yes, that's fine. We're good. Okay, so all the other stuff was recorded?
Yep.
All right, I would ask everybody that's in the room that has an electronic device, telephone, whatever, if you would either put it on vibrate or shut the phone off. If you need to use your phone for any reason, I'd appreciate it if you take your conversation out into the hallway so it doesn't bother the meeting. I will tell you this meeting is being televised. It will be reprogrammed several times during the month, so just be aware that everything that is being said in the room tonight is being recorded. Prior to the start of this evening's hearing, due to the fact that we have only a 4-person board, which requires 4 affirmative votes for a petition to pass, there is an opportunity at this point prior to the start of the meeting that if a petitioner wants to withdraw from tonight's hearing and reschedule for next month, where we normally would have a 5-person board, the petitioner who wants to withdraw can withdraw tonight. So I will ask, is there anyone here tonight that wants to withdraw? So all the cases will go forward tonight with a 4-person board.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Except for these 2 that have been requested to continue until the next meeting. 39 Mystic Street will not be heard tonight, and Plot 6 Homestead Street, formerly 55 May Avenue, will also not be heard tonight. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is anyone here for the case of 39 Mystic Street, the petition of Stephen Torrey, Real Estate, LLC, 33 Dover Street, Brockton, Mass., for a variance seeking relief from Article 3, Section 2713, Section 2713A and 2729, from frontage minimum lot area lacking front and rear setbacks to build a single-family dwelling home on a vacant lot in an R1C zone located at 39 Mystic Street. That case will not be heard tonight. They have requested to postpone it until the January meeting. Is that correct? The second request for postponement is the petition of Stephen Torrey, 33 Dover Street, Brockton, Mass. For a variance seeking relief from Article 3, Section 2713, 2713A, and 2729 for frontage, minimum lot area, and green space coverage to build a single-family dwelling on a vacant lot in an R1C zone located at Plot 6, Homestead Street, formerly known as 55 May Avenue. If you are here for that case tonight, it will not be heard tonight. It is being rescheduled for January. All right, the format of the meeting is that when I call the case, the petitioner will come up to the podium and address the board and explain the request for a variance special permit, the reason that you're here. When you have completed your testimony, I will then open it up for any questions from the board members who may have a question relative to the testimony that they just heard. When all their questions have been answered, I will close that portion of the hearing, and I will open it up then for anyone who wants to speak in favor. Following that, I will ask if there is anyone here that wants to speak in opposition. Following that, I will ask if there is any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue. And lastly, I will ask if there is anyone in the room that has a question relative to any of the testimony that has been given. At that point, the public portion of the hearing will be concluded, and I will then open it up for deliberation among the board members. This is the portion of the hearing where deliberation will take place between the board members, and the public portion of the meeting will be closed. At some point during the deliberations, you will probably hear one of the members make a motion to grant. If that is seconded, I will call the clerk to call the roll. In tonight's case, as I mentioned before, it requires an affirmative vote of all four members. If there are 4 affirmative votes, the petition will be granted, and I will make the announcement to the petitioner whether or not it has been granted or denied. So normally, we would have 5 members. If there was 1 dissenting vote and 4 affirmative, it would pass. If there was 2 votes in the negative, 3 in the affirmative, it would be denied. So tonight is so-called Plan B, where we will go forward with a 4-person board that requires all 4 affirmative votes. All right. The first case tonight to be heard is 2572. The petition of David Texera, Post Office Box 3, Brockton, Mass. For a variance, seeking relief from Section 2729, Section 2753, subsection 10 and 6, to build a residential apartment building lacking the minimum planting strip required in a C2 zone located at 733 Main Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Your permission, my name is Attorney Jim Burke. I have offices at 48 North Pearl Street in Brockton, Massachusetts, and I have the pleasure of representing David Texera in this request. Scott Barrier is here from Holmgren Associates, and Kevin Patton is here from BKA to hopefully provide insight as to why we think this is a great project. For some of the members of the board will recall that Mr. Texera was before this board some time ago on this location, which is at the corner of Main and David, and he was seeking 21 units in an old commercial building, which was in fact an old furniture building. which is diagonally across from Hancock Street where the Burkes came from. That was denied, and it was in fact denied because in large part there was concern about the parking, both on-site and the problem of bleeding parking into David Street that already is a heavily decongested and a problematic area. There was even a question about where and how a delivery truck may be able to get into the project. Well, Mr. Texera went back to the drawing board with the assistance of Mr. Farrier and Mr. Patton, and is designed for you and your consideration a 12-unit brand-new building, because the old structure has in fact been removed from the site. And for the 12 units, there will be 18 parking spaces. There will be essentially one space allocated for each tenant, and there'll be 6 additional parking spaces available for delivery and for guests that may approach and come on the property. The relief that we're seeking is to be allowed to construct the 12 units residential in a commercial zone in an area that is almost exclusively residential, except for some businesses that are in the area along Main Street. There is a cemetery which is attached uniquely to this unit, and what we are requesting in terms of relief, in addition to the use for the 12 units, is also the parking, because as we know, the parking for residential is reduced and modified to 1 unit per structure. It still, for the multifamily, says 2 units. So the vast majority of all projects that we're seeing, of course, are roughly 1.5, and that's essentially what we're presenting to the board for their consideration. So the property, as proposed, in addition to the property on Main Street, there is also a lot that was purchased by Mr. Texera on David Street, which will form the basis of the parking for each of the residential units. So you're not going to have the overflow and impact on David Street that was a concern. You're going to have ample area for delivery and handicap spaces up in the front of the building, to the rear of the building on coming off David Street. And in addition to the amenities, you'll have, as Scott will identify, the location of the dumpster, et cetera. One of the things that we're requesting relief, there's a section of the ordinance that requires there be 18 inches of buffer in a parking area, and we're reducing that somewhat. Scott will deal with that. So essentially what's before you and your consideration is the use for 12 units and the reasonableness of the parking, and I think creatively, Mr. Texera has found a way to answer the concerns of the Zoning Board of Appeals. In terms of a hardship, we know that this property was in fact a commercial structural use that was probably built in the turn of the century, 19th century. Because of its deteriorated and dilapidated condition, was forced to be removed. The prospect of any developer coming on this site and building a significant commercial structure is virtually non-existent in this day and age, especially given the location and the size of the lot, shape, size of the lot. In addition, if you put the commercial structure on, you'd immediately have the same problem with parking that you had in the last instance in terms of the minimal parking on Main Street and the parking that would bleed onto David Street, which is a major concern for the board. So essentially what you have is you have a lot that essentially is uneconomic in terms of a commercial development to meet today's standards, both in terms of construction and viability in terms of success. It leads you, therefore, to provide a need, as we have in Brockton, for increased housing. The need is I think, magnified by the fact that it's a brand-new structure with meeting all code standards. It has the amenities that Scott will get into, washer and dryer for the individual units, and in fact will be a good blend into the community and surrounding community. Scott, if you want to go ahead and identify briefly, you can, the landscaping, and we'll have Mr. Patton go ahead and identify some of the characteristics of the structure.
Thank you, Attorney Burke. As Attorney Burke said,
Can you just bring that forward just a little bit? Thank you.
Sure. I'll step up.
Much better.
Thank you. All right. As Attorney Burke said, besides the use variance, the next biggest issue we had on site was making the parking work. As you folks know, the 1.5 spaces per unit has kind of been the sweet spot that we've been looking at on these residential projects. So when Mr. Texera purchased the property diagonally across the street, it's about 60 feet corner to corner and about 120 feet from the corner to the front door, the back door of the proposed building. So once he bought that property, we designed that parking layout. Those 12 spaces all meet the required zoning for size of spacing, green space, buffer strips. So those 12 spaces all conform. It was the spaces directly behind the building that we had a hard time meeting all the zoning requirements. So again, as we've done in other downtown buildings, we reduced the size of the spaces down to 9 by 18. We reduced the buffer just in one location at the very back. We've only got a 1-foot strip instead of a 1.5 feet. And by reducing it down to that 1 foot, we're able to get 7 spaces along the back of the building, which gives us 6 guest spaces and 1 dedicated delivery space. So we felt like it was worth requesting that relief from you folks to get that 1 additional delivery space. We've got a dumpster proposed on the backside. Kevin from BKA also likes to design bike pads and bike storage on these properties, so we have a bike storage area in the back also. Both of the sites, the building site and the parking site across the street, will require site plan approval. We'll have full drainage designs to make sure we don't have any adverse impact on the surrounding properties. It will all need site plan approval. We do have landscaping proposed along David Street and a little bit along Main Street. We've got the building is at its closest point is about 4 feet from Main Street. So there isn't a lot of room to do any kind of landscaping to separate the building from the street or from the back of the sidewalk on Main Street, but we do have 4 feet, so we do have some landscaping proposed there, and that'll be another thing that'll be discussed in depth at the planning board process. So those are really the main issues that we tried to resolve, and I think everything came out a lot better than the last time. It's a lot less congested. Everything works. The flow is a lot better now. So hopefully that resolves all the issues. If I could, I'd like Kevin to show you his plans, which are a lot prettier than my plans. Exactly. Thank you, Jim. Yes. He's also taller than I am, so.
No, it's more just like. Okay, I am Kevin Patton. I am the project architect, and I'm with BKA Architects. Just quickly through the program, it's 12 units, it's 4 units per floor. This is Main Street running up the right side of the street, or the page, and David Street at the top. We have an entrance, pedestrian entrance off of Main, as well as an entry off of the parking field at the back. As mentioned before, there is in-unit laundry in each of the units. They are all 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. They range between 830 square feet to just under 900 square feet, depending on what floor you're on. The upper floor units are slightly larger just because they wrap around the stair, gives them a little extra square footage. The basement, there is a full basement in the building. It's used primarily for secured storage for each unit. Each unit would have its own space down there, and the rest of it is mechanical space. The building architecture is really rooted in a traditional style. As I looked at the street, it was really the best solution. I wanted to take it contemporary, but I kept getting drawn back to a traditional style. So we have a large pronounced cornice over the white areas of the lap siding on the building with heavy trim on those windows. And then we have a slight contemporary component, which is the darker portions of the facade, and that's a board and batten with a simplified window trim. And then you can also see the plantings along the base of the building, hopefully to eventually shield some of that first floor. This rendering does not show the additional plantings here. This was prior to that change made to the site plan. The rear of the building is, architecture is the exact same as the front. So once you see the front, you've seen the back. This is another view from Main Street. We have the cemetery off to the left of the building, and then there's a pretty heavy existing vegetative buffer that's there today. And finally, an evening shot of the project. We're proposing some building-mounted wall sconces as well as some lower-level, planting-level pedestrian lighting. That covers it.
We were prepared for the lights for Mr. Sweeney, but he...
I was just going to say that. You missed the light guy.
Yeah, we tried.
I'll speak highly of it for him.
So unless there are specific questions, I think that probably concludes the presentation.
The buffering issue with the green space, is that on the side of the cemetery?
Just grab it. It's literally in this very corner right here. That's the only place. It's exactly 1 foot as opposed to 18 inches. But if you walk 5 feet down that strip, you then have 18 inches. So it's literally just that little area right there where we don't have the 18 inches that's needed. Everywhere else, there's about 15 foot of green space all alongside the building to the cemetery. And then the vegetative buffer that's within the cemetery itself. So it's just that little piece.
On the cemetery side, what are you going to buffer this with between the building and the cemetery?
We have a 6-foot stockade fence proposed all the way down the lot line. And then also along the lot line, running perpendicular to David Street. So those two sides of the property will be a 6-foot stockade fence.
So the green space that we see is actually plantings or grass?
Correct.
So we would expect to see, like we saw in the picture that you showed, that the green space on Main Street and David Street will be what we see in that picture.
That's correct.
All right, the other question is the main entrance to this will be facing Main Street. The main entrance door faces Main Street, correct?
Yeah, because the property carries a Main Street address.
You have to speak up louder.
Sorry, the property carries a Main Street address, so yes, our primary door is facing Main Street.
But if I'm not mistaken, there's the same access in the rear, correct?
Correct.
So it's not,
a
the
convenience.
address is Main, but the door in the rear is the same
It is.
for functional use. Yeah. Because that's where everybody's going to go, because that's where the parking is. Sorry.
Well, one of the issues we had with the last presentation was the main entrance was going to be on David Street. So now this has been changed from David Street to Main Street where it should be.
Yes.
Okay. The parking issue, the parking that has been provided on David Street, you're going to have a deed restriction on that parking place on David Street.
Yeah, that's a stipulation we don't have a problem with. In other words, that the lot goes with the main property. We don't have a problem with that.
Correct. So it would be a deed restriction, it would be recorded, so that somewhere down the road, that lot can't be sold, and we lose the parking for this building on the corner.
If you did, it would lose the relief of the variance. So, yes, no.
Well, that would cause all kinds of problems, as you know. So on the size of the units, I think you said 890 square feet to what?
The smaller units are just over 830 square feet, and the larger units are just under 900. It's about 890 something.
830 to 900.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Just for reference, is the units on the first floor handicap accessible?
Yeah, because there's not an elevator in the building, the first floor has to be fully accessible.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Everybody's good? Okay, I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I will now open it up for deliberations among the board members. Board members.
I like the project a lot. I think, the building that was there for a long time, many years, that was vacant and now has been torn down for this project. I really like, to Kevin's point, how the traditional, it actually has that three-decker look to it that matches the neighborhood well and blends in well with those soffits off the cockloft area. So that looks nice. I actually think the greenage area that you're speaking of around that area around the building looks really nice with that elephant-style grass or whatever. So I think it's a good project. I think the parking works out well. I'll speak for my colleague, Mr. Sweeney, who's not here, about the light sconces. He'd be very happy with this, Councilor Burke, so that's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does a lot for the neighborhood, and I'm happy that they addressed the parking issue. Yeah, it looks like a good project.
So
I
on a
agree.
prior use form, it was determined that at one point this had 4 businesses and 14 apartments in the building that was torn down. So it was used for residential at one point. So there'd be no business in this at all, strictly all apartments.
Strictly residential. No mixed use.
I'll make a motion to grant.
Second?
All right, just on the motion, we are granting relief on some parking places in the rear, size and number. We are specifying a deed restriction on the parking lot that's on David Street. The green space as shown on the plan that was presented tonight, and a 6-foot fence along the west side and the south side of the property. And a fence on the parking lot also. What's it, 3 sides, I think, on the parking lot. So that's what we're voting on. And a use variance because it's in the C2 zone. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lannis.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Monique Screenberry.
Yes.
And Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative, 1 in the absent.
The vote is 4 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition as presented is granted.
Thank the board for its time.
We're going.
Is the petitioner here for 20 Custer Street?
Back to 1.
20 Custer Street, you here? All right. The next petition is petition 2565. Samuel Isan Ademai Olwe. I'm sorry, I'm having a problem with that pronunciation.
Yes.
Did
That's
good?
Yes, that's good.
Very good. 8 Sanford Road, Leicester, Mass. For a special permit seeking relief from Section 27, 24, and 5, lacking front and side setback and construction of a second means of egress on the 3rd floor in an R1C zone located at 20 Custer Street. Whenever you're ready, you can present your case to the board.
Oh, good evening,
You
board.
are the persons that I listed, correct?
Yes,
Very good.
yes. Once again, my name is Olushola Esan, and we're here to present 20 Costa Street, the second means of egress.
Speak a little closer to the mic, or pull it to you.
The second means of egress on the 3rd floor. So the house already exists for long, and it's on the 3rd floor. We have a 1-bedroom apartment. So the second means of egress is now conforming to the recent new Brockton ordinance, and the building inspectors want us to have another updated means of egress. And to do that, there is no room inside the building to make that second means of egress. Now we need to use the exterior part of it. We have some design from our structural engineer, and but there is some with the setback by the side and the front setback. There is a little we need some variance to approve that, because on the front side it's 20 square feet, 20 feet. We only have 13 feet on that side, and on the side we have 10 feet. We only have 4.6. So that's why we present our case to the board, which is causing us an hardship if our application will be granted.
So there's 2 issues here. One is a variance on front setback. Apparently, the construction of the front porch is going to be a little bit closer to the sidewalk than what you now have, correct?
We're still maintaining the front porch, which is already existing. On top of the front porch is where we will take the roof out, which is the shingle, and put a flat roof to accommodate the exterior part, but we're not going beyond the front deck that it's already designed.
So the supports that you're going to put on the porch to hold up this stairway that you're planning to put up on top of it, that construction on the porch on the 1st floor is going to be in the exact same location that it is now?
Yes, but we're taking that support out. We're putting 4x6 PT, exact place. That's what we're going to have.
When you're finished doing that, you will not be any closer to the sidewalk than you are now?
We're a little bit, for the side, there is no sidewalk, but it's close to the setback, which is property line. From the new ordinance, it should be 10 feet, and we'll go by 8 inches more than the building.
Okay, so what I want to get at here is you're requesting a variance for 8 inches of relief on front yard setback.
Or from the side setback.
The side setback should not be an issue because the house foundation is where it is and it's in existence. Okay, we'll handle that.
Okay.
And the special permit is strictly for the stairway going from the 3rd floor down to the 2nd floor?
Yes.
2 issues here. Okay. Board members?
What is currently on that 3rd floor right now?
So what's currently on it is 1 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 bath. That's what we have currently. And actually, the building has second means of egress, which was already existing in the building. But right now, it's not safe in terms of it's 1 bedroom. It's been there for years. That's how it's passed through the zoning or through the inspection department. which we far back record to like 1995 or 2005.
It's currently existing as a three-family?
Yes, it's currently existing as three-family. We bought it as three-family with the same so-called the second means of regress. But with the new ordinance changing, safety and everything, I think the building departments see it as unsafe for us to create another one now.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the fact that somebody is using it as a three-family is why we need the second means of
Yeah.
egress. So all this time, it's been used as a three-family with one,
All this time without, yes.
amazing.
If I may say, he has second means of egress. It's not just, so he has second means of egress. It's just not conforming to the new ordinance. As at the time they approve it for three-family, I think that second means of egress passed for that, which is existing right now in the
Understood.
building. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, board members all set? You're going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion on the issue. I will now open it up for board members for discussion. Board members.
I think, you know, just from my opinion as the fire chief, I think this has been being used as a three-family all along. That's not going to change. And I think now just putting this next means of egress in puts a little bit level of safety in my mind. If, you know, we have to look at it from that perspective, and if, you know, because of this, because of the setbacks, I'm for this.
Yeah, it's definitely an improvement for what we have now. Yeah, I'm also in favor of this.
So the exterior stairway will go from the third floor, which is a window, which will be replaced by a door, to the second floor common hallway, which is now a window, which will be a door. So this stairway will not go to the first floor, only goes from the third floor to the second floor. Then you go in on the second floor landing, correct?
Yes.
And the variance portion of this is the front yard setback. I think the hardship here is in order to construct this stairway, they've got to do some work on that porch, which is
Yeah.
really the hardship, so,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
So from a building code standpoint, that's a violation of the state building code. That has to be fully enclosed. It cannot be open. You can't go out open into a stairway and then back into the building. So this would have to be enclosed fully.
So if I may say, before even we start our design, we look references that we have in the city, especially on Costa Street. We saw that the new improvement they're having is this style of stairs we have, and it's which I could show you the design. I don't see.
While he's looking, just a point for the chair, for the building commissioner, outside of just, say, a special permit to cover that stairwell because it's coming from the second floor, he would need to enclose that entire stairwell from a building perspective?
In accordance with the state building code, yes.
So if we were, just as a point of information, if we were to pass this tonight, then that would be on the building department to then to make him enclose that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be different from what has been presented because it's being presented as an exterior staircase on the front of the house. But if what you're explaining tonight is that you're going to have a stairway exiting the third floor on the outside, going out of the building and back into the second floor means of egress, that's a violation. Means of egress have to be contiguous throughout. They can't go out into a building and back in.
So that's why the style of the door that we choose for that, it's going to be open from outside. So it doesn't have
Not a
anything
style,
to do.
what I'm trying to explain to you is that it's a building code violation what you have here right now. If you get approval, you're still not going to be able to obtain a building permit for it, which you're going to need.
So, which we already talked to part of your department about this. First thing is we kind of look most of what could be available, what we can do with that. I don't know if you could have any, what's it called, if you could give us many recommendations, but we came to your department, and I think one of the officers came to the site, which we, like I was saying, it's on the third floor, we only have one bedroom. We have 2 means of egress, as at that time was approved. But when we're looking the fire code, we don't want to put any of our tenants into jeopardy as the codes are changing, fire department and everything. And what we all resolved with one of your inspector in the building department came up with this design. And that design we've been working on.
We don't design.
No, I know, but.
Well, then that's not true.
No,
right?
We have him on site because we came definitely to your.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to engage.
I'll give you a little bit of leeway, but I think what we're going to do is take a vote on whether we will allow this outside stairway. If we vote to allow the outside stairway, then there'll have to be a discussion between the petitioner and the building inspector on how it's going to get done.
Right.
Which, if I may say, Mr. Chairman, we already foresee that to have that conversation with their department, which they, with their recommendation, talking to our structural engineer, that's what we have this right now. Right there. He might not be informed. I think Freddie or Frank was part of this whole thing going on, so I might be wrong with that name.
Mr. Chair, respectfully, we don't consult on the code. That's not what we do. Regardless of who you spoke to, I'm telling you as the building commissioner
Okay, sir.
that this is a code violation.
Okay.
And there is no way that one of my staff would have instructed you to present a code violation to this board. Okay? So, having what the chair said, if the zoning board decides to approve it, you may have to change the design. As long as it's written into the order, then you won't have to come back here. So I'm just trying to save you some trouble.
No problem. We definitely work with you to see how, and our structural engineer would definitely, if you could give us your time, I
I
would
just don't want you to
appreciate
have to
that.
come back, that's all.
No problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so based upon the conversation we just heard, I think we got to confine our vote to granting a variance for the setback of the front porch, which is only about 8 inches, and then generally a special permit for the stairway. Whatever that stairway turns out will be between the petitioner and, if that's how you want to go with it.
I'm good with that.
Well, what if the design ends up not being in the front anymore, if it's on the side or the back? I don't know.
Then that would be a zoning violation
have to
again.
come
They'd
back
have to
to
go
They'll
back.
have to come back.
So-
Okay.
So it would only be confined, I think, to this,
Just to
correct me if
this
I'm wrong,
front.
Mr. Chairman, it would be only
Just
confined to this
redesign.
front redesign.
We're voting on what's in front of us tonight.
Correct.
If they want to relocate it somewhere else in the house, they're going to come back again.
So,
Yeah. So
Can
that's
I-
up to them, however.
Can I say something? So we kind of look this side in terms of the one of the means of egress that conform with the zoning ordinance right now is in the kitchen. And we look if we want to meet this second means of egress and still have the second means of egress in the kitchen, which is the side of the building. We're trying to proactively look fire if it happens. So, which I was saying, sir, that when one of the inspectors too came, part of our concern is that we have more room at the side and at the back, but that's where we have one of the means of egress that we not be able to save. So if there is fire in the living room and they will not be able to jump to the kitchen side, that's why the only place that we see kind of is to be on the opposite side of the room, so that if there is any fire in the middle, they can be able to join either to the left, front side, or the back side of the building. Most of it is
I'm
fire.
going to hold the discussion right there because you did explain to us why you need it, where you want it. So what we're voting on tonight is what's presented to us. If something should change, and the building inspector says that because of the change, you may have to come back before us, that may happen. If it gets enclosed, you're all set.
No problem,
Okay,
sir.
so
Thank you, sir.
based upon what we have heard, we're looking at granting a variance and a special permit.
I'll make a motion to grant.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to grant the variance and the special permit. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lannis?
Yes.
Chief Nardelli?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Greenberry?
Yes.
Chair Galligan?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative.
Vote is 4 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition as presented is granted.
Thank you, sir.
All right, 2566 was Mystic Street, that has been postponed till next month. 2567 is Homestead Street and May Avenue, which has been postponed till the January meeting. Next case before us is 2568, the petition of Beantown Homes, 1 ILLC, 19 Puritan Avenue, Dorchester, Mass., for a special permit seeking relief from Section 2737 to build a second-floor egress on the left side of the dwelling in an R2 zone located at 50 Farrington Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Philip Nazrella representing the applicant and the applicant's operating manager and member, Domingos Lopes, is here with me this evening in the event there are any direct questions for him. This is what I would like to suggest a rather straightforward application. We currently have an existing structure with 3 floors, and on the second floor there is, if you are looking at Farrington Street property, on the left side there exists now a stairwell for the second floor. It is in the rear. There have been some problems with that second floor egress. It, for some unknown reason, takes in a certain amount of water, which has created issues within that unit. We've had architects and contractors there trying to find a way to redirect the water, stop the water, but we're concerned of mold developing or other issues. So we decided, or they have decided, the more advantageous and direct way to deal with this is to create a new set of stairs exiting from the second floor, which will be directly above the existing first floor set of stairs that you see. That would also allow it to be much more symmetrical than we currently have. That stairwell that we propose be erected will be enclosed with the first floor, which will meet the code. And that's simply all we're looking for, is to allow us to move the stairwell or rebuild a set of stairs and discontinue the use of the existing stairwell that we have on the exterior. Again, this is a special permitted use, so clearly we don't find that it'd be detrimental to anything anywhere, but would enhance the use of the house and the safety issues for exiting the property. If there's any questions on that application, please feel free.
Board members, any questions? I have a question relative to the stairway that's proposed to be put on the east side of this building. You're saying that's going to be fully enclosed.
Correct.
How many families are living in this building right now?
There are 3 families.
The stairway that's being eliminated, does that service as a second means of egress from the 3rd floor?
Yes, that's what's going to be replaced by the proposed one,
So
which
the
will
new
do the
one-
same thing.
Yeah, the new one will, from the third floor. Okay.
Correct. The third floor and the second floor is one family on each side, so there's not a third family on the third floor. The second and third is considered one unit on the left side, another unit on the right side.
Well, just for discussion purposes, is there a second means of egress from that apartment that's on the other side?
Yes, they have the same thing. They have a set of stairs exiting from the second floor.
So this one here will service just one side of the building?
That's correct.
All right. On the plan, it shows that this stairway that's going to be added to the east side of the building is going to extend 3 feet off the building. And I'll tell you, in order to find that, I had to get my magnifying glass out to find it. And I will tell you, I am not happy with something like this that is submitted to the board. We have got to have something that us older generation people can read. This is not fair to the board to be sending this type of document to us.
Well, in addition to that, Mr. Chairman, I believe I had submitted one from the architect, or the engineer.
But the dimension that I'm looking for is how far this stairway is going to extend off the building. It says in the plan here that it's going to be 3 feet.
Correct. No, I will agree with you that it was a little challenging to read.
I'm glad you agree. Now,
Well, I've learned the
Question.
consequences of disagreeing, so I thought,
my question is, if you step out that door onto a platform, most likely that platform is going to have to be 4 feet by 4 feet,
correct.
with a stairway going down to halfway down the building to another platform and another 4 feet with a second set of stairs going down out 4 feet from the building. It would appear to me that this whole structure is going to be about 8 feet off of the main structure.
I did not see it going out 8 feet, but if that's what your calculations show.
Well, the plan shows it extends 3 feet off the building. There's absolutely no way this stairway can be built only 3 feet off the building. So the question then comes on the setback, on the side yard setback. Will there be enough room for a driveway on the east side of this building to access the rear yard when this thing is constructed?
Yes.
Okay, I have a concern with that it's showing, I think it says 18 feet. So if we push that out about 8 feet, that leaves 10 feet from the side property line. Usually we require about a 12-foot driveway, so now you're down to 10 feet. Secondly, well, I just want to...
Well, I understand with the progression of your argument. I'm not quite sure about the 8 feet that would be required as part of the landing. I didn't, see that or calculate that as such, but assuming that is correct, I also understand where you're heading as to whether or not that's going to diminish what would be required for access and egress through the driveway.
Correct. So that's the point I wanted to make.
And so with that point, what I would do is advise that if we don't need 8 feet. If this in fact 8 feet, we would make that a minimal amount, but enough that creates, allows the safety issue for somebody descending from the steps.
Correct, and that would be determined by the building inspector as to how
Correct.
big that's going to be. I just want to make sure that I understand that this is going to be far greater than just 3 feet. I don't know why somebody put 3 feet on here, but it doesn't make sense. Secondly, on this property, back in 2021, you came before this board to split this lot into a Lot A and a Lot B, and you built a brand-new house on Lot B. Remember that?
Not really, but I'll
Remember it
I'll accept
vividly.
that.
Well, anyway, the plan shows that on Lot A, which is the established house which we're dealing with tonight, you made provisions for 6 parking places in the rear of the building. On the plan you're submitting tonight, it's a different parking scheme, and there's only 3 parking places. What happened to the 6 parking places that were supposed to be developed in 2021?
I wouldn't have the answer to that. I don't know if Mr. Lopes
Hi,
does.
Mr. Chairman. My name is Domingo Lopes. I'm the owner of the property. As far as the parking spaces go, the driveway sits on the right side of the house. And as far as the landing goes, the second means of egress is going directly above the first floor. We're not extending anything else. It's just whatever's there right now. We're just putting a second level to it. And on the left side, the second means of egress, we're just pushing that to the side. So we're not increasing anything, with my understanding.
The stairway that you're going to add to this house is going to be on the east side of the house, correct?
The left side.
The left side,
Yes.
correct.
There's already a second means of egress for Unit 1. We're just putting this directly above it. So when you come out of Unit 2, you have the one on top that you use to just come, second means to come out. So the second means of egress that's on the left, we're just going to push that to the right and put it symmetrical with the one that's existing from Unit 1.
The current stairway that's there now is a single stairway that comes down the side of the building.
Yes.
Okay. What you're proposing here is the stairway is going to be in 2 sections. So my question to the attorney was, you have the stairway up against the building, which comes down to a landing, and then next to that is the final stairway that takes you down to the ground. So when you look at the entire stairway off the building, we're looking what I think is about 8 feet. That's to be determined between the building inspector and the attorney. It showed on the plan it's only 3 feet, when in fact I think it's closer to 8 feet.
So, I'm sorry.
That brought up the concern about the width of the driveway. Is there room enough now to get to the parking that's in the rear?
Right now, there's an existing, from the first floor, which we're building on top, we have plenty of space to get to the back. One of the guys that parks in the back now has a bus that he parks back there with no problem.
But I think dealing with only the width of one landing, now we're dealing with the width of 2 landings, wide, away from the house. I don't want to prolong the questioning, but the way I see it is this stairway is going to project probably 7 to 8 feet off the house, not 3. That extra projection is going to cut into the driveway. So it looks like you've got maybe 10 to maybe 11 feet for a driveway on the east side of the house. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now comes the question that when this came before zoning in 2021, there was a plan that was submitted to us that we approved with 6 parking places paved in the rear of that building. Obviously, this never got done.
It did get done because to access 50, you can either go on the left side, which is the east side, or you can go on the other side to access the back. I just paved the whole right side, which would also give us access to the rear of the building as well. So there's 2 ways to get into the back of the property to access the 6 parking spots.
Okay, so knowing that, it doesn't show that on the plan of the driveway on what you're describing, which is on the west side. My concern is there sufficient off-street parking to support the tenants of this house?
Plenty of parking, yes.
Well, you say plenty. There's 3 families here, and there's only 3 parking places. There's supposed to be 6. The original plan showed all 6. So why has it changed from 6 to 3?
It has not changed. In the back of the property, when you access the back of the property, just in the 2-family alone that I built takes up less than half, and that's 8 parking spaces on the 2-family. I did 8 parking spaces there. If you have half of the other lot, it's going to be a minimum of 8 in the back of the building.
So my concern is, if this is granted, there will be 6 off-street parking places.
Yes, yes.
And
minimum 6.
And if the stairway is approved, the driveway on the east side of the building will support a car driving down that driveway to get to the parking in the rear.
Yes.
So if this is approved, there will be a stipulation that there shall be no less than 6 off-street parking places.
Yes.
And you understand that and agree to that?
Yes, I agree to that.
Attorney?
Well, I understand that, but the application before the board this evening is about a stairwell coming down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's appropriate to be dealing with now with parking spaces, or And I'm not trying to be argumentative where he already agreed to it, but I'm just raising the point. I think we're outside the boundary lines of what we're here for. I don't think one should have any relationship to the other.
My concern is the width of the stairway, which would allow a vehicle to traverse that driveway to get to the rear of the building. I'm making a comment that in good faith, this was granted a variance for 6 off-street parking places, and it never happened.
Well, he says it does. He says there are 6 back there.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, if this is granted, there has to be a minimum of 6 off-street parking places.
If it's, in light of the fact that that's what was represented in 2021, I'm fine with that.
Okay, I think we have an obligation to do that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Board members, any other questions?
Nothing further.
So the only thing we're voting on tonight is a special permit to allow that enclosed stairway.
Correct.
And all this other is all part of that. But I think we need to have an understanding that that driveway has to be wide enough to carry a car, and there has to be sufficient off-street parking.
Well, the addition that we're proposing should not infringe or diminish that which we need for that driveway.
Correct. We've got to get that out in the open.
No, I agree with that.
All right, board members. Everybody's good? I'm going to close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I will now open it up for deliberation by the board members. Board members.
I don't really have much other than, you know, I can see exactly what you're speaking about the change in the width. The gentleman says there will be no change to the landing down the bottom.
It would appear that if what we discussed will not infringe on the required setback, my only concern was to make sure that the petitioner realizes that by putting the stairway up, he cannot stop vehicles from getting to the proposed parking in the rear. It's critical in that neighborhood, as you know.
Yes.
One whole side of that street, there's no parking. It's important.
Mr. Chairman, I also provide parking for tenants that don't live there during snow emergencies. And during, we had a real bad snow, I was able to get 20 cars back there, and I didn't charge anybody anything. So
I want to hear about it.
I'm definite that we can get 6 cars back there with the driveway that's already in existence. So that for me would not be a problem.
And that parking in the back is a paved parking.
It's what?
It's paved.
It's not paved, but I did 54, that's paved. In the springtime, by the time this gets done, it will be paved.
Perfect. All right, board members, no further questions?
Motion to grant?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant a special permit for the enclosed stairway. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lannis.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Greenberry.
Yes.
Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative.
The vote is 4 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next petition, 2569, the petition of Easton Ventures LLC, 480 Turnpike Street, Easton, Mass., for a variance seeking relief from Section 27-9, Table 1, to build 2 single-family dwelling homes lacking frontage in an R1C zone located at Plot 32, Bellevue Avenue, at the corner of Ridge Street and Bellevue Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, my name is Attorney Jim Burke. I'm attorney at law with offices at 48 North Pearl Street in Brockton, and I have the pleasure of representing Eastern Ventures LLC. I'm here with Ed Jacobs, a PMP, who's the engineer, and what we're seeking is relief by way of a grant of variance from the frontage requirements of the ordinance. This is, I think, an excellent case and an excellent opportunity for the board.
Can you speak into the microphone? It's not going anywhere. You need to speak into the microphone.
You can carry that with you if you want.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Nice, I can carry it lower. So, I think this is an opportunity for the board to provide good infill housing on a brand-new home with a roughly 2,800 square feet and a two-car garage. They have sufficient lot area under our ordinance. They're simply macking the frontage, and there's 135 or so on each lot. Interestingly enough, I took a look, and from Baltic to Intervale, there isn't a single house that meets the required parking frontage in this neighborhood. Of the surrounding area, there are 68 houses that do not meet the required frontage in the general surrounding area. And they range from roughly 50 to 130. I just point that out because if you grant the relief requested, it's really consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. Interestingly enough, we have an abutting neighbor in Parcel A. The owners reached out to her, discovered that she, of course, had her cabana, pool, shed on our property. No difficulty. You see there's a Parcel A there of 2,200 square feet. We're going to give her the land so that she doesn't have to deal with the issue of an encumbrance. And we've got the land to do it, and they were kind enough to go ahead and make that accommodation for her. The issue of hardship or variance, I think, is an interesting one that you don't see every day. Primarily what you see in the state statute is that you, among other things, you can't utilize the property for its intended use. If you take a look, and I had, Ed thought it was, I was kind of crazy why he made me do it, but I had him design another plan. What the other plan showed is that if we could use the frontage on Ridge Street, we had 2 buildable lots in and of itself. The problem is Ridge Street is not built, and it is absolutely economically unfeasible for the owner of the property to go ahead and build Ridge Street for a single-family house. That is enough and sufficiently enough, in my opinion, to create a hardship. As it relates for the relief we're asking, our courts have really been consistent in identifying that when dimensional relief is involved, even a minor hardship is justification for granting the relief in question. So, is it minor? It's certainly minor in the fact that nobody else except there is one house on the surrounding area with more frontage than we're asking. So the entire surrounding neighborhood is built to the 1920s standard of development, all of which is the smaller lots, smaller frontage. So, Ed, I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity to take the stick and make a presentation and outline for them how it's laid out. Yeah, Ed Jacobs, PMP. As Attorney Burke stated, this lot, it's one lot now, it's 63,630 square feet, 270.85 feet of frontage. So each lot would have 135, one lot has 135.43 feet of frontage, the other one has 135.42 feet of frontage. Lot 1 has 30,269 square feet, Lot 2 has 31,062. This area here, Parcel A, is what Attorney Burke was referring to. This lot line right here is an existing lot line. It just comes back for 41 feet and then just cut straight across here. The people who own the property, I guess, just thought it went straight back all the way, so they built a beautiful patio, built-in grill, cabana, gazebo, but it wasn't on their property. So we've designed this lot line to come around the retaining wall and the cabana, leaving a 5-foot space to walk around it. And we met with Ms. Dos Reyes. We told her what we were, proposing to do, which would be to just give her this land so that she wouldn't have any of these problems, or the person buying this property wouldn't have any problems. So she was, of course, acceptable to that. And I think Attorney Burke has laid everything else out. And we've already been before the planning board with preliminary approval on a preliminary subdivision plan with the right to go to the zoning board of appeals to grant relief, because obviously you can't divide lots, only the planning board can. And so I think that's it in terms of the presentation. If there are any specific questions, be happy to try to answer them.
Not that this is what we're voting on tonight, but do you have to go before conservation as well still because of the wetlands going through a part of one of the houses?
Yep, so there's wetlands on the back, right here. They were flagged by ECR in 2021, located by our firm. But these two lots will go for their own notice of intent when they go for the building.
All right, and
Please, I'm sorry, you can speak to the mic.
Let's get this clip on.
And so you're going before planning to deal with the other, sorry, yeah, you're going to hand it back, Eddie, sorry about that. You're going before planning to.
Yes, we
part of the lot squared away.
The way it works is you provide a preliminary subdivision approval, and the reason we've been doing it this way is because for a developer to come in with a complete subdivision in order to get to the zoning board of appeals and spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and then have it turned down, it makes absolutely no sense.
Sure.
So you preside a preliminary plan, and in this instance, the planning board under the statute has the authority to grant reduced frontage. Can't make it a buildable lot. Only you can make it a buildable lot, but they can do reduced frontage. So we'll go in with a waiver and request a formal subdivision. Interestingly enough, Ed raised it, and I had forgotten about that. One of the waivers is that I don't build a street that's already built. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Just review quickly again what the hardship was on this.
Again, as I see it, one of the things is, and it's paramount in the ordinance, that you can't utilize, or the cases that have defined the ordinance, that you can't appropriately use the property for its intended use because there's some condition or factor which prevents you. And we have one here. And the fact is that we could have, in fact, two separate conforming under our ordinance buildable lots, except for the fact that Ridge Street, which is beyond the ability of our homeowner, isn't built. And if, in fact, it was to be built, the economic cost would make it absolutely uneconomic to utilize the property for single-family residence. And that's, I believe, more than sufficient hardship.
I think we heard from the neighbors at one point they were very concerned they did not want Ridge Street to be developed.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that portion of Ridge Street is so narrow that I don't see how it could ever be developed into a street. And I think that was brought up at the end of Arthur Street when they made the cul-de-sac up there. Right. They did not want that Ridge Street to go out to Bellevue Avenue. So, all right. So the only thing you're asking for tonight is a variance on the frontage from 180 to 135.
That's correct.
And you have more than enough square footage for the lot.
We have more than enough square footage.
And the houses will be built in a percentage of the wetlands where it doesn't affect zoning,
Correct.
outside of that percentage. Yeah, got it. Board members, any other questions? Everybody good? All right, I'll conclude that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given tonight? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I will now open it up for deliberations among the board members. Oh, very good. I'm glad you reminded me. So in our deliberations, I'll start out by saying that we have a letter of support. This is one sentence. I'm delighted to see that Eastern Ventures is applying to build 2 houses on the empty lot on Bellevue Avenue between Ridge and Baltic. There's currently a magnet for trash dumping and in-car drug use and dealing. As an abutter, I wholeheartedly approve and look forward to the day when 2 families will move into their brand-new homes. And this is from a abutter at 242 Bellevue Avenue. There's a letter of support.
I think we've had a number of cases like this over the years where we've been in a situation where the neighborhood has had an abandoned house, a vacant house, an empty lot that's collected trash, that had a bunch of issues. I think this goes to make the neighborhood a little more vibrant. I think when you look at it, to the councilor's point, the other lots are very similar, if not smaller in frontage than anything else you see up that way. So I think this is good for the neighborhood, this is good for the city.
When I went up and looked at the location, you could see evidence of dumping up there.
Yeah.
Whether it be yard debris or whatever. So that, in the letter that we got, it's true.
Make a motion to grant?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to grant a variance, and what we're granting is relief from front yard frontage. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Landis.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Greenberry.
Yes.
Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative.
Vote is 4 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition as presented is granted.
Thank the board for its time.
See you, Eddie.
The next petition, 2570, the petition of German Fernandez Cindy Cabrera, 47 Comerford Street, Providence, Rhode Island, for a variance, seeking relief from Section 2729, Table 1, to build an ADU, additional dwelling unit, in an existing non-conforming garage lacking setbacks in an R1B zone located at 223 Copeland Street.
Again, the board, I thank you this evening, Attorney Jim Burke, attorney at law with offices at 48 North Pearl Street, Brockton, Massachusetts, and I have the pleasure to represent Jermaine Fernandez and his wife Cindy. And I'm accompanied by Amanda Langer, who is with JDE, and she's going to assist us. I'll start off by suggesting this is an ADU case. The building commissioner and I had a heartfelt discussion about some of the issues that arise, and I wouldn't feel bad as a city, but just historically.
Please.
There you go.
We're going to get lapel mics.
Why can't
Just
you
for you,
get one
Counselor.
of these halo things that we can wear?
I'm going to get you a lapel mic.
It better be a tall one. If a zoning ordinance change occurs in the city of Brockton, and they create an ADU legislation, an ordinance, goes to the planning board, city council, has its ordinance hearing, gets voted, it gets approved, and it becomes law. If it's in any other town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's not the way it works. They go ahead, they prevent the zoning change and create it to the town meeting that needs a 2/3 vote, gets approved, but it doesn't become law. It goes to the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General then will review the language of the ordinance to determine whether it meets the state statute. In doing the research, I ran into at least 45 cases in which the Attorney General's office on ADU cases have notified various communities throughout the state that your new bylaw it conflicts with the state ordinance. Specifically, that's what we have in Brockton, and we're going to have to need to secure an ordinance change. Pending that determination by the City Council, the only relief that Mr. Fernandez can seek is to request the variance from the side lot requirements, because the ordinance says it will be of the same setback as the traditional house. Well, that's not what the state statute provides. Since this is an auxiliary structure, ancillary structure, if it meets the minimum requirements of the city or town, then it meets the requirements of the state statute. Here, we've got a 5-foot setback. So it meets the minimum requirements of the statute. And if the board were to not grant the variance, I suggest that ultimately the resolution would not end tonight. And I think that I'd request that you go ahead and grant the variance. And I think it's mindful of the fact that at some point within the next legislative year, the city needs to take a step when it gets its new law department in place to amend the statute to make it conform to the state statute. And essentially that's the argument on the ADU. As you know, it's meant to provide infill housing. Copeland Street is where I grew up. It's a great neighborhood. And this detached garage is really, I think, perfect for the ADUs. And that's exactly what this is going to be. Amanda, you're up. Don't forget the stick.
Yeah, I was going to say. Good evening. Amanda Langer with JDE Civil. So just to piggyback off of what Attorney Burke said, the structure is already existing. It's a 2-story garage. What the clients would like to do is convert the second story into an ADU. And the first story is going to be private parking for that ADU. Just to stay in conformance with the regulations, we've provided 2 additional parking spaces here, as it's 1 space per housing unit. So, that gives us additional parking as well. There's already, electric? There's already gas and electric going to that, the garage. So there is proposed sewer connection, proposed water connection, which German will go through all of that with DPW when that time comes. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The only other resolution to this would be to knock down a perfectly good, solid structure and rebuild it. And I mean, that's really not in anybody's favor to do that. That's pretty much it.
Could I ask, real quick?
Yeah.
The gas, you said gas and electric, where are they coming from? Are they coming straight from Copeland Street?
I'm not 100% sure. The surveyor wasn't able to get.
Okay, so, Mr. Fernandez, or someone, could you?
First identify yourself, and we need the microphone.
Oh, hey, German Fernandez here.
How you doing?
Owner. I was just saying that the garage is gas and the house is oil, so it is separate.
So the gas line comes directly from Copeland Street to that garage?
Yes.
Okay, and what about the electric, sir? Where does that come from?
That's coming from the house.
Coming from the house, okay. So this lies the problem, Councilor Burke, and one of the biggest issues I have with ADUs, and I didn't write the law, I'm not in favor of the law. It is a law, we have to follow the law. But the Commonwealth has completely ignored the fact that now if there is a problem in the house proper and we have to shut power off, because I'm the fire chief, that's what we look at. Now, we lose power in the other building. And we have petitioned at length, to make the property owners place a second service from point to point. Fell on deaf ears. That's what we're trying to work through in the ordinances here in the city of Brockton right now. But this is the way the law exists as we see it. And that's not what we're voting on tonight, and I won't get off my soapbox here, but this will become a problem down the road, Mr.
Yeah.
I can see the issue.
Yeah.
It's legitimate.
We would absolutely, when it comes to that time, especially, we have to go through planning board as well, too. We would address that with them. And German and I did discuss this in length because he originally wanted to see if it would make more sense to connect the sewer directly to the house and the water directly to the house, which, bizarrely enough, a lot of towns are making you do that. I have a project in Newton, and they told us, no, you can't have individual connections. We want you to connect directly to the house.
Ridiculous.
I think that is absolutely stupid for a multitude of reasons. Number one, if it's going to be used for a rental unit, you want to be able to track the expenses coming strictly from that unit. And much to what you said, if there's a problem here or a problem here, it affects everybody. If there's a backup in sewer here and that's connected to that sewer, it's a problem for everyone.
What it does is it reduces the cost if you're going from house to separate ADU.
Yeah.
So now it is a benefit to the builder and the contractor, not to the resident.
Right. When a problem comes, though.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
And
it
that's
falls
a big
on deaf
cost.
ears, though, unfortunately.
Right. That's a big cost.
Mr. Fernandez, I apologize. This is not your problem. I think it's something that's very frustrating about the legislation on our end.
Yeah. But when it gets to the building permit time, and if planning board decides that they want us to, so really the only connection that is dependent on the primary dwelling is the electric. If they feel as though, in order to make this happen, they want a new overhead wire or underground going to that, I really don't see German, throwing this whole thing away just for that. But I agree with you. I support that 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
We're glad you agree.
You just want me to stop talking, that's why.
Have a comment to add?
Not yet.
That ends our presentation. That ends our presentation.
It says in your application here, with insufficient side setback under Brockton ordinances.
Well, that's essentially what it is, because the ordinance would require the setback to be
15 feet.
15 feet.
Yes, correct.
But also in the ordinance, it says if it's an auxiliary structure, that's 5 feet. But here, not only is it the non-conforming, and you're not making it more non-conforming if we even wanted to go there in terms of the setback. So I understand that the way to approach this to get immediate relief for the petitioner is a request for a variance, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, so on the plan that's drawn here, it says the side yard setback is 4.4 feet.
Correct.
That's probably 6 inches short of what you're saying is the required 5 feet.
Correct.
I think there's two things that we're looking at here. One is an auxiliary structure such as a shed or a garage that can be outside of 5 feet from the rear or the side property line. What we're dealing with tonight is an ordinance that specifically relates to ADUs. So I am relying on the ordinance that was constructed strictly for setback for ADUs. This is not a shed that somebody's putting in their backyard, which in the ordinance says it can be 5 feet from the property line. So I think there's two ways of looking at what this auxiliary structure could be, okay? The porch on the back of this garage, is there a new porch that's going to be built?
That's not a porch. I believe it's like an overhang. Am I correct on that? Yeah, it's like an overhang, like somewhere you would store.
Like a deck?
Kind of like a deck.
Is there a stairway that goes from that deck to the ground?
No, I don't believe so, right? No. Okay. He said that they would be putting one there, stairways to get to and from it.
Okay, so if there's going to be an exterior stairway that goes from the deck to the ground from floor number 2, that would require a special permit for that stairway. If it goes from the first floor to the ground, you don't need a special permit, but from the second floor, you would need a special permit. Okay, just so I'm
Okay.
bringing that up.
Yeah, well, so we would have to come back and request that through you guys, correct?
Well,
not
either
build a
that
stair?
or the board, we could consider granting a special permit for a stairway if we're inclined to approve this.
Okay.
A special permit for a stairway basically allows the zoning board to take a look at what the stairway is going to look like in perspective to the building. That was the whole
Okay.
purpose, to eliminate these crazy stairways that were
Right.
popping up everywhere. So it's not a huge hill to climb, shall I
Yeah,
say?
that makes sense.
It's not like a variance.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. Do you happen to know what the square footage of the house is, the current house that's there? The reason I ask the question is the ADUs are 900 square feet or half the square footage of the dwelling that's on the property now. So what I don't know is 900 square feet too big for this proposed use, based upon the square footage of the house?
Want me to answer?
Well, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, how much is the square footage for the house?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the square footage for the house is a little under 1,100 square feet.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
The square footage for the house is a little under 1,100 square feet.
1,100 square feet?
Yes.
Now, is that the first floor or all floors?
There's an attic that eventually I would be putting another bedroom in that has another, I would say, around 400 square feet.
So you're saying you think there's 1,100
There is a
square
basement,
feet
too.
now, plus an additional 400 to be added to the
Yeah.
house?
Plus the basement.
And there's a basement as well.
A full basement.
All right, so is that figure fairly accurate from what you have just researched?
That,
So that adds up to about, what, 2,600 square feet in total?
yeah,
Right. That gets you to your 900 square feet.
yeah. So not including the basement, it's about 1,800 square feet, if not more. And then with the basement, it would be the additional.
All right, so I'm going to defer now to the building inspector on the square footage that we have to consider for the house. What are we considering for square footage?
So provided that the space that is unfinished can be finished, that goes toward the gross square footage of the principal dwelling,
And they're saying the basement can satisfy.
as long as that ceiling is 6'8". Is it?
Not sure.
So any habitable space that can be finished as gross living space, it does count toward the gross square footage of the entire structure.
So basically, when you go in your basement, is it higher than your head?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What do you
It's a
need down the basement, 7 feet?
6'8",
6'8"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
to
probably,
the finish.
Yeah, I believe it's around that, yeah.
probably a full 8.
Yeah.
So let's just want to make sure we're okay on this number. What is the square footage of the first floor of this dwelling?
The first floor, doing my best to look it up on the interwebs here.
I think the house is 36 by 24.
Yeah, it says the total interior living area is 1792, not including the basement or the attic.
It's 1792.
Yep, and that's not including the basement or the attic, and it is a full basement.
That's plenty of square footage, then.
It's over.
It's a lot of square.
So that gets us well over the 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So the 900 is a good figure then, is what I'm concerned about.
Yes.
So if we take the total of the first floor, second floor, and what about the third floor that he's talking about? We have to include that also?
There is no third floor.
Second floor, he's going to put a room on the second floor. So we got at least the first floor and the basement. And what do those two add up to?
It's got to be the same footprint, don't they?
Yeah,
Then there was 1,700.
it was 1792,
It's got to be 34 or whatever.
so. So it's 896 per level, essentially.
896?
Yeah, so if you just include the first, second, and basement, then you're looking at 2688.
And half of that?
Half of that is, oh, Jesus. What did I say, 2688?
1,300 square feet?
1344?
Yeah, 1344.
That would be the half, so the 900 would fit with no problem.
Yes.
That answers
Correct.
my question. Okay, so that was not included, but we figured it out pretty close. We're very comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there's going to be a deck off of the rear with a stairway going down. The plans show it's 4.4 feet from the sideline. So even if we went by what the attorney is proposing, we're basically 6 or 8 inches short on sideline from the 5 feet. So whatever happens with this, it needs a variance for side yard setback. We agree on that?
No.
We do not. Why not?
I'm asking for one, and I can't get what we want unless we get one, but I don't think it needs it under the statute.
So yes and no.
So yes and no.
That was good.
All right, so what I'm basing my thought on is an accessory structure has to be 5 feet from the side property line. As I mentioned before, I think we're talking 2 different accessory structures, so in my opinion, you need a variance, and you need a special permit for the stairway going from the second floor deck to the ground. And the 900 square feet fits within the square footage of the house that currently sits on the lot.
Correct.
We've got to that point. All right. Board members, any other questions?
I'm all set.
Everybody's good? Okay, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. Please come up, give your name to the clerk.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Mills. I'm a neighbor, and I did work on that garage when it was originally constructed, and the building department told him at least 4 times that he couldn't have an apartment at that time when it was under construction. And I also believe they also told him it was a little bit taller than what it should be as well, where it didn't fall into the guidelines, and they gave him a little bit of a grace period, and that's pretty much it.
What is your address?
My address is 233 Copeland Street. I'm 2 doors down from them.
Okay, you're in a abutter to the abutter then. You're not directly up against him.
Right.
Okay, I gotcha. All right.
But I also worked on site on that house.
So your testimony is it was built for a garage and then the second floor was added?
No, it was second floor and a first floor. He tried to get an apartment in originally when he built it, and the building inspector, at least on 4 occasions, told him he couldn't have it. And it was just an ongoing thing, and then finally they just said, let it go.
Yeah, it's a single-family residential zone, that's why.
Exactly, and the garage is a little bit bigger than the house as far as square footage.
Okay, that it?
That's it, sir.
Very good, thank you.
You have any questions for me?
I don't know, the board have any questions for him? No, I guess we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion relative to the issue. I will now open it up for discussion among board members. Board members.
the gentleman who's the abutter to the abutter, I think his situation of when they were told it couldn't happen, that was prior to the ADU legislation. We don't have to love it, but we have to live with it because it is law. I see the value with the housing crisis. I don't necessarily agree with how it was kind of, the framework was put in and kind of dumped on the local level to make decisions that had to be made in a very short period of time. That's why we're in a position where we are right now with not an appropriate ordinance for that. I don't see how, personally, I don't see how we can deny the variance for this because he meets all the other parameters. And we're working with state legislation, not our own. So that's just my 2 cents.
No other comments? The way I look at this, the city spent a considerable amount of time developing this ADU ordinance specifically to address what we're talking about tonight. In the ordinance that was created by the City Council, there were very specific parameters that were addressed towards the creation of the ADUs. In this case, they need 15 feet side yard setback, which they don't have. Whether this will stand the test of time, I don't know. But I'm going to take my consideration based upon the ADU ordinance that was created by the City Council. And it says setbacks shall be the same as the required setbacks for principal structures in the zone in which the detached ADU is to be placed. That is 15 feet. Shall not be within 10 feet of a structure. We're okay on that. Corner lots are okay. Required lot coverage in green space is the same as 27.9. The electric utilities will be brought based upon the requirements of the utility provider. Water service will be provided by the Brockton Department of Public Works requirements, and sewer service will be provided by DPW Public Works requirements. So that there was very specific parameters that were put into this that were voted and approved by the City Council. So that weighs on my mind about what is required by the city if you want to put an ADU in a yard. And I think when this was drafted, it was drafted with the thought that these ADUs were going to be restricted as to where they can be placed. They can't be willy-nilly put in every yard in the neighborhood in the city. So there are very specific ADUs requirements. It's an ordinance that we have right here in front of us, so I will consider that when I take my vote.
Motion to grant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to grant relief from Section 2729 to allow for the construction of the ADU. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lannis.
No.
Chief Nardelli.
No.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Greenberry.
No.
And Chair Galligan.
No.
Mr. Chair, that is 0 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative.
Vote is 0 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. The petition as presented is denied.
More, right?
This should be the last one.
Yeah, 39 Prosper.
The next petition, 2571, the petition of George Mendez, 12 Center Street, Brockton, Mass. And I don't know if that is a scrivener's error, but I don't know where 12 Center Street in Brockton is located. That's a public park. For a variance, seeking relief from Section 27.9 and Section 27.26, Table 1, to be allowed to renovate and convert a single-family dwelling into 4 residential units without sufficient area in a pre-existing non-conforming lot in an R2 zone located at 39 Prospect Street.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Attorney Jim Burke, and I have the pleasure of representing Mr. Mendez, who acquired a property in much need of repair on Prospect Street that is in an R2 zone. And the relief he's seeking is to be allowed to have a 4-family in a very large and rambling structure that is only allowed as a 3-family in an R2 zone. Preliminarily, I suggest that upon further review, it's apparent that one of my requests is not required. There is sufficient area for the 4-family, and I think that's been confirmed with the assistance of the building department. So the issue before you is the use of variance to allow a 4-family in a 3-family zone. Unfortunately, Mr. Mendez, designer, architect, couldn't be here. We have plans. I think everyone does have plans. It's a apologize to the board. It roughly for the neighborhood 21,400 square feet of area, and it dimensionally is a pre-existing structure, and the addition that's proposed, which is shown on the plan, will in fact not make the property more non-conforming than it already exists. And its non-conformance would be, as it is, the side setback. And of course, the structure was built, I believe, it was built in the 1800s, from looking at the assessor's records when I reviewed it. There is ample and sufficient parking on the site. With 8 parking spaces to meet the 2 per multifamily requirement that still exists under the ordinance. And it just basically is a very, very large lot. I think that you're all familiar with the neighborhood. They're virtually all multifamily structures in that specific area near Prospect Street. This is one of the larger lots in the area, and there is more than sufficient area, I think, to meet the requirements internally as well as exterior on the lot. In terms of the property is like and similar to other multifamily properties in the area. It's a regularly shaped standard structure which results in the side setback and other non-conforming structures exist throughout the specific neighborhood. owing to the narrowness of the lot and the uniqueness of the dilapidated and non-conforming structure, it suggests that making a renovation of that into a three-family is economically unrealistic, and the fourth unit would be required based on the high cost to renovate to make it a functional multifamily structure. And again, no one factor requires or satisfies the requirement in ordinance in our statute, but a little enforcement is important, that the desired relief will be in harmony with the existing neighborhood, and I believe that this structure is. And again, unfortunately, I don't have a designer here today, so I can't answer much as it relates to the internal of the house. We have detailed plans that I think you've all seen about the interior of the structure and the proposed addition.
I'll ask you my question on the proposed addition. What's the purpose of that addition, do you know? Is that an expansion of the one-floor unit?
Yes. It's an expansion, and I'm looking to try to...
I had a problem trying to figure that out. Are they trying to put a second floor on top of that one?
No, they're not.
So this is a total new addition to that building?
Yes, lower level, right. They're not adding an addition.
So do you know if that would be just on the first floor or both the first and second floor? Do you know?
I don't believe it's a second floor.
Just the
addition.
first floor?
Just the first floor.
When I went up and looked at this, it had one Edison meter on the side of the building, which kind of reaffirms that the statement that it was a one-family. I can't believe this.
I think it has been. Whether it's been legally operating as a one-family, but...
I'll tell you, 25 or 30 years ago, I know a family that lived on the second floor. So at some point in its history, there was two families living in there, and probably with one Edison meter or whatever, but it is a large rambling building, there's no question.
Well, it certainly is a unique structure. There's no question about that. And it's extremely large, and it has the ability to accommodate the fourth unit.
So of course, when they put these plans together, they always leave off some dimensions. And one of the dimensions that is missing from this plan is the distance between the outside of the driveway and the back of those parking spaces. I would think that they may have to give up somewhat of the lawn in order to make it so those cars can actually pull in and out of those parking spaces. I don't know if you have it on your chart, but as you pull in from Prospect Street, you pull into a parking space on the right. Technically, they're undersized. I measured them, they're 171, they need to be 180. It's not enough really to be concerned about, but I think the turning on the proposed drive, that may be a problem trying to get in and out of those parking places. So I'm only bringing this out so that if that became a problem, we may see somewhat, a couple of feet of that lawn may have to be given up for a turning radius to get in and out of those parking places. And there's certainly a lot of green space in the backyard that's not being used.
It is. And the addition, the way the proposed addition as it's shown in the footprint, visually doesn't impact anyone.
No, and it's inside the side yard setback also.
Yep.
Yep. So it would appear that this part in the back probably was a barn, This was a large, single-family home with a barn, and over the years, it's morphed into what we're seeing now. So that barn is actually going to be one of the dwelling units for this whole complex, correct? So there'd be 3 units in the house and 1 in the barn, they're all connected. Okay. So in this zone, the largest dwelling you can have is 3 units, and you're asking for 4? And
That's correct.
That's why you're here tonight. So for the square footage that's required for a 4-unit building, there's ample square footage of the lot to support that?
That was confirmed with the assistance of the building department, yes.
Yes, I agree. So the original number was incorrect, the new number is correct. Yeah. So the physical footprint of this building is not going to change as far as sideline setbacks?
It will not. It will not make it more non-conforming.
Correct. I got it. It appears as though there will be 12 bedrooms. 4 units with 3 bedrooms per unit is what they're proposing. With sufficient off-street parking. All right. Board members, any questions? Everybody's good down there? All right. I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there any elected official in the room that wants to be heard on the issue? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room that has a question relative to the testimony that has been given? Seeing none, I will close that portion of the hearing. That concludes the public discussion. I will now open it up to board deliberation. Board members.
It is one of the larger lots in the neighborhood, and it does seem to work for this project.
Were we able to find out if there was any other additions that happened on this property? Is this would be the first addition that's happening?
None that I know of.
Okay.
When you look at multiple other buildings on that street, you see similar types of buildings with this, lack there of a better term, amalgamation of connections. It's strange on that one street.
There's many mixtures of multis and singles.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole area. The one thing that I'm very concerned when I look at these is the availability for off-street parking. When you look at Prospect Street from North Main to North Warren Avenue, that whole south side of the street is no parking. I would think that at night, parking up there is a premium. So if this petitioner wants to do what he's proposing to do, he really does have an obligation to create off-street parking. And it appears in this plan that there would be sufficient off-street parking. So they're
As
asking,
long as it goes to what you were saying earlier with pushing it up a little bit, because those are small spots.
well, if you look at the plan where the parking is on the east property line, the distance between the back of those cars and the grass line, it should be probably 22, 23 feet, and it's not. So if you're driving a smart car, you could pull right in. If you're driving a Crown Vic, you're going to make a couple of turns to get in, or even young guys today that drive pickup trucks. So I just want to bring that fact out in the discussion that what we're seeing on this plan, in order for cars to turn into these parking places, we may lose a little bit of grass in order to make, and certainly, Counselor, what we don't want to see is the grass area that's shown on this plan to be totally blacktopped.
I mean, if it went to the 1.5, you'd be talking 6 spaces with the 4. you could redesign the parking area if needed.
I think that probably is not a bad option, that there can be a little wiggle room on how that is laid out. But from my personal opinion, I don't want to see that front or side yard that's grass right now to be all converted over to parking and blacktop. So what he's showing here for parking is a little bit tight, I will say, but it is sufficient. So I just want to bring it out in a public forum that I don't want to go up there 6 months from now and find that front yard blacktop.
So if there was a stipulation that it be designed with 6 spaces, something that he certainly wouldn't have a problem with.
Well, you got 8 spaces.
Well, I think leaving the spaces, but making sure, would you say like a post and rail fence or something like we've talked about before on the front side so it's not blacktopped?
I don't know, it's open for discussion.
Well, I would say we put a stipulation for a post and rail fence, maybe some curbing at the edge to make sure there will be no parking there. It's not like we haven't done that in the past.
We have done that in the past.
And granite curbing. Well, I don't want to drive over that in my car.
I don't know, you're getting granite curb is, I think if you put a fence there to delineate the grass area, you can't go wrong. We've done that in the past.
Okay, I'll stay away from the granite curbing. We'll just, if you're comfortable with the post and rail fence.
I would be. I think if we start getting into granite edge stones and stuff, it's going to get quite expensive.
Okay, I'll make a motion to grant with that stipulation in place.
With the post and rail fence.
Correct.
And also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're talking 8 parking places here,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
I think you said 6 at one point.
No, I said, if you were concerned about the spacing, we've been going towards a 1.5, and a 1.5 would equal 6 spaces.
I like 2.0.
Well, you get 2.0.
But my only concern is I think we just need to discuss that. When you pull in this driveway, you got to have enough room to turn in and to back out. And if, like the chief says, if we put up a post and rail fence, give it a little bit of room, I think the board would, kind of bend on that a little bit. But what I don't want to see is to have them blacktop that whole front yard to make additional parking. So if this is approved, it will be related to the plan as presented and dated. Yeah, good, okay. So they're asking for a variance to allow 4 units, and we are going to stipulate that there will be a post and rail fence along the west side of the driveway. Is that correct?
Sure. Yep.
Other than that, there's nothing else that we discussed.
Nope.
Everybody's good with that?
Yes.
And we had a motion and a second.
My hearing is terrible.
We had a motion and a second. Myself motioned and Mr. Lane is seconded.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Landis.
Yes.
Chief Nardelli.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney is absent. Ms. Greenberry.
Yes.
Chair Galligan.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that is 4 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative.
Thank the,
Vote is 4 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The petition is granted with the stipulation.
thank the zoning board for its time.
That should be the last case of the evening. So before we leave tonight, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, to everybody in the room and to the board members.
You as well.
And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
We are adjourned.